Well, good morning, everybody. This is Kyle Kinsler with Kinsler Brown Companies, and thanks for being part of the KB article where we optimize the financial well-being of ourselves and employees ourselves for growth here. So one of the main topics I want to speak of, and oftentimes it's not very popular, and it starts with life insurance. Scary topic. Most people don't like to talk about it, but why is it relative in a small business? Well, it's very important, especially if you own a business, to have some sort of a life insurance policy. If you have the business yourself and you don't have any other business partners type of thing, what happens to your business? Does it dissolve? Does it go away? Do you get a life insurance policy to get it to make sure it has the correct valuation to take care of, let's say if you have a spouse or if you have a family, or is or do you have other plans to where maybe your spouse takes over your company in case you were to die? So very important to ask. Um, but beyond that, um, if you own a business and you have a business partner, what happens if you share in the work with a business partner and you have a business that's growing and maybe it's young? Um, but what happens to your business if your business partner were to die? So does the business partner I'm sorry, step in and be all that your business partner was, or probably most likely what will happen is that the business partner's spouse would probably want to get out of the business. And that's why it's so important to have a buy-sell agreement. And you do buy-sell agreements with life insurance. Now, there's different ways that you can do that. And let me just kind of point on a couple of things. Is that number one, you need to kind of have an identification of what is your business worth. And you don't want to have your business partner die, and then you have to sell off a bunch of assets just to take care of the spouse and such. You don't want to have to dissolve your business because a business partner dies. And if you are young enough, let's say you're in your early 20s, maybe even early 30s type of thing, there is a product out there, and I would advise taking a look at that, but it's a universal life insurance policy. What makes a universal life insurance policy different is that it provides more flexibility. So as your business grows, you can make adjustments to your universal life insurance policy. If after time you start to build up cash value in that, which you will, then you don't necessarily need to make the same premium payments, or maybe you want to increase your premium payments. And they have within the universal life insurance policy, you got to make sure that you have that guaranteed insurability clause that's within it. And most will, as long as you don't come into it with a chronic condition or you're in bad health type of thing. If you're insurable, and most people are insurable in their early 20s, early 30s, and what happens at every like 3 to 5 years, you can have it put into the policy, that guaranteed insurability clause, so that way you can come back and buy additional coverage as your business grows without having to prove um, your insurability. So let's say, for instance, you picked up a policy and you were in good health. A few years later, you came down with a chronic illness, and if you went back to buy additional insurance because your business has grown, if you didn't have that guaranteed insurability clause within your policy, you likely wouldn't be able to pick up additional coverage. So most universal life insurance policies have that. If it doesn't, make sure that it's on there, so that way you don't have to have a clean certificate of health, so to speak, in order to buy up. And as your business grows, you can buy up and buy additional life insurance to kind of match where you're at in the business. And maybe you don't do the whole 100% valuation. Maybe it's just at 75%. or what it may be. But that is a good recommendation to you, especially if you're still in, like, let's say your 20s, your 30s, it's still affordable. Once you get into your 40s, 50s type of thing, and let's say you get into business with a business partner, what happens is that maybe that universal life insurance policy isn't quite so affordable anymore, and then you're forced to go into a term policy. And that term policy, they're inexpensive, but when you're older, that might be the only option that you have. So I would suggest to take a look into something, especially if you're younger, to get into a universal life insurance policy. And if you need help with that, like I said, we don't sell the products. I do keep myself, I've been in the insurance industry for about 20 years. I keep myself licensed, but I don't represent any particular carriers. But I guess that's why Chad and I are around, is to provide that particular guidance in case you need it, and then you can work with your own insurance company, or if we can uh, let you know about some other uh, good advisors out there as well. And another key element that I wanted to touch base on was key employee insurance. So if you, let's say, for instance, if you had an engineering company, I'm not an engineer, but maybe I had an engineering company, and I have a couple of key engineers, and they kind of make sure that things run the day to day. They know a lot about things. I don't know about those things, but maybe I'm more that visionary person. And but what would happen if you lost that key employee? And what if there was only one of those key employees within your organization, and they don't want to be self-employed, so they work for yourself? But what would your organization look like, and if you lost that person? Even if you're, let's say you're in a mechanic shop, or what it may be, and you have a team of five, but you got a couple of people in there, they just kind of really run everything for you. It's not a bad idea to get key employee insurance on that. I'm not saying to do it, because I know there are such a things as people being insurance poor. And sometimes when, if I were to lose a key employee, that, hey, I have resources that I know I've got employees that might not be there now, but they can suck it up, and maybe that is your insurance policy. But if you don't have a good strategy in a place in case you lost that one or two key employees, what would it look like? This might be something that would be more ideal for you. So, and that can be served in the case of a loss of death or disability by those key employees. So keep that in mind. So hopefully that is some helpful tidbits for you. It's important, and oftentimes I think it's overlooked when people get into business with one another, and say, what would happen to our organization if, worst case scenario, somebody became disabled, or God forbid that somebody were to die? And you want to make sure that you're taking care of the well-being of the business, and then furthermore, your family, are they taken care of in case something like that happens? So I'll leave you with that. Hope you have a great day. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day out here today. So you take care. Bye-bye.